This is the calm before the storm. That moment in time before the anticipated announcement of Nintendo's next console. I do kind of find it funny how this is the perfect opportunity for them to reveal it, even if it's not coming out until 2025. Like, just imagine that for a second. The hype surrounding the Switch successor right now, if it actually gets revealed in October, like what many people are speculating Nintendo to do, the internet is going to blow up. Hey guys, Leyland here, and today's video I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on the latest leaks of the Nintendo Switch 2. I do want to emphasize all of this, of course, before we actually get into the video. All of this is alleged leaks. I did a short where I showed off all of the leaked images, and I'm briefly going to be covering them in this video, but there is one in particular that I'm going to focus on later in the video, so feel free to stick around. Of course, whatever you deal with leaks, rumors, whatever it is best to take everything with a grain of salt until it is officially announced. Yet, this one picture in particular has some pretty strong evidence. So without further ado, back on the 18th, and yes, I know I'm a bit slow with this video, but I wanted to take some time to really think about stuff. Plus, my job has been kind of annoying, but that's adult life for you. Speaking of which, if you guys really want to help me out and build up this channel, go ahead, like the video, subscribe if you're new and enjoy the content, and that way I can do more of this. Supposedly last week on Wednesday, leaked images of the Switch successor started pouring out in waves. It started on a forum site called Faming Boards. I have honestly never heard of it before, but a friend told me about it, and literally on that day, by the hour, it started filling up with pages upon pages of people just going over and over talking about the leaked images. And I do, of course, I want to say allegedly, because I really do want to emphasize this just in case. So, allegedly, workers in China have managed to get the images, and they have leaked them on the internet. And speaking of which, these are the images that I've been showing you guys so far in the video. We have the full 3D render of the whole console, as well as the Joy-Cons. And right off the bat, we can see the Joy-Cons themselves. For me, I can see that the edges of them have been ever so slightly more curved. The left and right shoulder buttons are curved down more than the originals. But I think the bigger change is on the back, where you can see that the release button is vastly larger. At least, that's what I'm thinking is the release button. Which honestly for me is a big improvement because even with my fingers, the release button on the original Joy-Cons are they're so tiny. Half the time it felt like I wasn't even pushing it in right to actually release the Joy-Cons from the rail. Speaking of that, there is no rail system anymore. The new Joy-Cons will be capable of attaching onto the tablet itself via magnets.
Yeah! Yippee! Magnets! Oh!
Which I am gonna say, I do absolutely love this. Even though I almost never take my Switch out of the dock anymore, and at the same time, I hardly ever take my Joy-Cons out. I do feel though, if this is what they're truly doing, it is a welcomed improvement for the system. Because this is going to prevent people from accidentally putting their Joy-Cons on the wrong way and getting them stuck, if not completely breaking them. It's actually funny because I remember when my sister got her first Switch, I even warned her about putting them on wrong, and no joke, not even 10 minutes after I told her this, she came to me and said, help, because she did it wrong. And I know many other people out there that have reported saying that they've put them on wrong and they've either broken the Switch railing of their Joy-Cons or the railing themselves on the tablet. Major, major issue. There is one other thing that I want to mention before moving on, is that there is a new button on the right Joy-Con, just under the home button. I can't really tell what the icon is, so if you have any idea, or you know because of other leaks, feel free to chime in the comments. And honestly, beyond that, that's pretty much all the differences that I can see of the Joy-Cons. So, let's go ahead and briefly talk about the tablet. Alright. First glance, you probably don't see much of a difference really from that of the original OLED. For me, of course, having the original 2017 Switch, I do love the fact that they have continued with the larger kickstand. Because honestly, the kickstand on the 2017 version is it's so flimsy. It literally broke off for me at one point without even really doing anything to it. I know you can't see it from this, but I'm going to show you another image here where the screen is in fact slightly bigger at 8 inches versus the OLED, which is 7. Unfortunately, of course, the meme of Dreamcast guy can no longer work.
7 inches? That's pretty big.
For the most part, the only difference that people have figured out is that there is 2 USB-C ports. So you'll still be able to hook it up and charge with the dock when you put it in, but it also looks like you'll be able to hook it up on the top as well. Beyond that, everything else looks pretty much similar to that of the OLED. You have the power button, volume control, light sensor, audio jack, and game slot. So with that, let's go ahead and move on to the one image that I really want to talk about with you guys. Now, outside of everything we've gotten from these leaks, there is one image in particular that is vastly different from the rest. I know 3D renders can be easily faked, people can even make their own 3D prints based off the previous leaks or rumors, all of which of course is fun to see or simply shrug off as being fake. Yet, look at this. I know I showed off the Joy-Con shells before in the video. We actually have not just the shell of the Switch 2, it has got the motherboard. And I know some people might chime in the comments below, oh, this is just a regular Switch, right? And I'll admit that I am not an engineer, I know next to nothing when it comes to understanding circuit boards, but here's an image of the original Switch and the OLED's motherboard, as well as just the OLED's motherboard by itself. And you can see it is vastly different from what we see in the leaked image. I don't really doubt someone from like Digital Foundry has commented on something like this already, but I don't think I need to hear from them to decide that this is undoubtedly real. Like, the level of detail in this is incredible for a hoax. And I've even have a picture that points out the parts in the Switch and the OLED, and because of that, I'm able to actually like point out to you guys some obvious ones. So we have the rechargeable battery, of course, we have the game slot, the 2 speakers, the bottom charging port, the Joy-Con magnets and the connectors in the middle, the processor, the onboard storage, the Joy-Con shell unfortunately is resting on top, but we can see where the internal fan is, which is also covering up the top charging port. There is also the power and the volume control. Like, this is either an extremely elaborate fake that someone made to look so believable, or it's real. Because quite frankly, I think this is it. Like, I know I said at the beginning, take leaks with a grain of salt, and part of me is still doing that, but honestly, looking at this one image makes it hard not to believe that we are looking at the internals of the Switch 2. Of course, that part of me is still a skeptic, and will find it hilarious if this turns out to be fake, and that the Switch 2 is vastly different. Yet, everything else shown so far really feels like a nice improvement, especially from the original Switch. A bigger handheld, improved Joy-Cons, no more rail system, double charging ports. I didn't even go in depth on the actual specs either, so let's take a quick look at to wrap up the video, you guys. Not wanting to go into some serious detail about the Nvidia chip, all of which is still rumors, which many are speculating is going to be about the same power as a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One in handheld mode, and when you dock it, it'll be roughly on the level as a PlayStation 4 Pro, which of course, you guys, I'm extremely happy for. It'll certainly open up the gates more for third-party studios to port their games over to the system. It's rumored to have backwards compatibility. Honestly, why wouldn't you, especially if every leaker has stated that it is a similar build to that of the Switch. That way people that get it will have a large library of games to play, both physical and digitally, when you transfer your account. I mean, Nintendo has already been doing this since I think the Wii, if not since the Wii U. Plus, it is of course Nintendo. It's still going to be cartridge-based, and not switching to a disc. That of course was one of the biggest issues when they moved on to the GameCube from the N64, and of course the Switch from the Wii U, and why we have gotten so many HD remakes and ports. They're also opting in for an LCD screen rather than that of the OLED, and that is simply to lower the manufacturing costs, and I know some people might not like to hear that when they use primarily the handheld mode, but this also means that it's going to cut down the cost for us as well as consumers, which is an added plus. It is allegedly also supposed to have 12 gigs of RAM, which is already a huge improvement from the original Switch, which honestly only had a third of that. And lastly, the internal storage, which has quadrupled of that of the OLED, having 256 gigs versus 64, which is a welcome improvement as well. Like, I think I opted in for a 128 gig micro SD card in my Switch, and I mainly have a digital library, which of course I think I have roughly about 20 gigs left, because I just recently downloaded Echoes of Wisdom now, along with everything else that I have in my library. Speaking of which, I'm recording this the day before the game releases, which I'm probably streaming it right now, so go ahead and check that out if you want. Beyond that, guys, that is pretty much it. I'm excited, of course. It's pretty much what I've been hoping for. The Switch itself is already a great system, and of course, as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. However, it's still going to be funny to me if by chance all of this is fake and Nintendo releases something entirely different. Yet, I do of course welcome the more powerful system. I am still rolling with my 2017 Switch, and yeah, for the most part, it is definitely showing its age with how much I've used it. So, either way, I am very much excited, not only for the reveal, but to also get my hands on it as well when it releases next year. So you guys, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. What do you think? Are you excited for it? Are you getting one? Or are you holding off right now? Or are you just simply skipping it entirely? I want to hear it. Like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. My name is Leyland, and I do truly hope you guys enjoy this moment. The moment before the storm of Nintendo's next big console. Have a good one, you guys.